Have you ever walked away from a conversation, whether it's your mother, your stepmom, your mother-in-law, or even your ex-wife, feeling frustrated, confused, drained, but you couldn't figure out why? That uneasy feeling isn't random. Whether she's treating you, your kids, or someone you love in a way that leaves you emotionally drained, filled with guilt, or second-guessing her intentions, you might be dealing with a narcissist. I've spent the last 20 years researching self-worth and narcissistic relationships. As a coach, author, and survivor myself, I teach simple systems to help empower you in any situation. In this video, I'll give you 5 clues to help identify a narcissistic mother in conversation. I'll share examples from my own experience to show you how these patterns work, and I'll give you practical strategies to help you regain control. Does she end up steering every conversation back to herself? This is our first clue to spotting a narcissistic mother in conversation: conversation hijacking. Even when the topic starts about someone else, like their child or their grandchild, it will inevitably circle back to her. You might hear things like, "Yeah, she's great at piano because I spent a fortune on her lessons." Or, "Did you see his game on Saturday? He's so lucky to have my athletic talent." The focus always shifts to her role, her struggles, her brilliance. Over time, the child's accomplishments are framed as a reflection of her or dismissed entirely. You won't hear, "The baby was sick last night." You'll hear, "The baby kept me up all night and now I'm exhausted." Bottom line, every conversation becomes a reflection about her. It centers on her and how it affects her. And the dominant recurring words will be I, me, my, and mine. This pattern is about control. By making every moment about her, she keeps the spotlight on what she cares about most: herself. I once heard a narcissistic stepmother hijack a conversation where her adult stepdaughter was excitedly talking about a new recipe she wanted to try. This narcissist immediately cut in, commenting on the stepdaughter's weight problem, saying the recipe sounded gross, and then in the same breath added, "It's too bad you don't take after me. Discipline isn't a problem for me." When someone hijacks a conversation, use the spotlight redirect tool to maintain control and keep the focus where it belongs. If they start making the topic about themselves, say something like, "Let's get back to the original topic," or "I want to stay focused on the main point." These phrases are honest, direct, and avoid giving any false validation. If the narcissist persists, you can calmly reinforce this with, "I'd really like to focus on this right now." This strategy keeps the power dynamics on your side without fueling the narcissist's need for attention or control. If you'd like a copy of the tools I share, sign up below and you'll get a new 3-minute empowerment plan every week. Have you ever felt like she gave you a compliment only to knock you down immediately after? This brings us to the second clue: praise and criticism in the same breath. A narcissistic mother will often praise her child or a family member just enough to appear supportive, but she'll always add that subtle dig to keep the upper hand. For example, she might say, "You're so beautiful. Too bad you have so many freckles." Or, "Of course we want to meet your new partner. Hopefully he's better than that last loser." These comments seem positive, but they're designed to undermine your confidence while keeping you on the hook, always striving for her approval. This tactic is intended to make the child or anyone in the family constantly seek validation from her. It creates a cycle of always wanting and never really feeling satisfied. I had a dose of this on my own wedding day. My new mother-in-law came over to me to tell me how beautiful my hair looked, but without missing a beat, she added this little dig about my gray hair, saying, "I'm just shocked at how ashy you look now." I already knew exactly who she was. I teach narcissism, so you can see it a mile away after a while. But what shocked me was even on my wedding day, she couldn't resist trying to undercut my self-esteem. To handle this toxic combination of praise and criticism, use the call and compose tool. When a narcissistic mother delivers a veiled insult, bluntly but calmly call it out without escalating. If she says something like, "Your house is so lovely, it must be nice to have so much free time," respond with, "Was that meant to be helpful?" Or, "Was that supposed to make me feel good?" These statements are direct and respectful, shining a spotlight on the manipulation without feeding into it. By staying calm and composed, you send a clear message: the manipulation isn't working and that you're not going to relinquish your own personal power. Have you seen her compete with her own kids when it comes to achievements, sports, or even a board game? Our third clue is envious competition. Instead of encouraging her child or grandchild and celebrating their success, a narcissistic mother does one of two things. She either views their achievements as threats to her own status, or she feels the need to co-opt their success and make it about herself. A narcissistic mother is most competitive with her daughter or daughter-in-law, especially in areas traditionally associated with appearance, intelligence, or success, traits that she might feel directly threaten her sense of superiority. She sees her daughters as an extension of herself, and she feels the need to outdo them, particularly as they come into their own. For instance, she might tell her daughter, "I was back to size 4 by your age after 3 kids." Similarly, a successful daughter-in-law can provoke envy because the mother might feel replaced in her son's admiration and attention. With a son, the competition usually comes in a different form. Narcissistic mothers often try to control sons through guilt and enmeshment rather than through direct rivalry. But their envy can flare when his attention or affection is directed elsewhere, especially towards a wife. If she sees him smiling at his wife, she might complain, "You never smile when you look at me like that," treating his affection for others as a betrayal. To a narcissistic mother, any attention given to someone else diminishes her sense of importance. And when it comes to her grandchildren, she doesn't let up. Even a family game night isn't safe. If she loses, she might throw a fit or quickly trigger a rage. I've seen a grandmother come unglued when her teenage granddaughter won the game. She slid the board game off the table, threw the pieces at her granddaughter's face, saying, "This is so unfair. No one explained the rules to me." Observing this as an adult was so shocking. It was almost comical, like, you can't be serious. But she was, in fact, very serious and ended up leaving the holiday dinner because she said everyone bullied her. The narcissistic mother's envy and constant competition are driven by a need to keep others focused on her, making sure that her sense of importance and control is never threatened, and she won't tolerate anything else. For handling a narcissistic mother's attempts to compete and win, use the neutral drop tool. When she compares herself to you or tries to one-up you, don't engage in the competition. Instead, respond with a calm, dismissive statement like, "This isn't a competition," or "I didn't realize we were keeping score." Delivered with composure and neutrality, these responses immediately deflate her need to win while making a mockery of the competition she takes so seriously. It shows that you don't see her as a threat. By refusing to engage, you keep the power in your hands and deny her the satisfaction of dragging you into a rivalry. One of the quickest ways to spot a narcissistic mother is the weaponization of guilt. This isn't the occasional guilt trip that someone might associate with cultural norms, a Jewish, Italian, or Catholic mother, reminding you to call more often, for example. With a narcissistic mother, the guilt is relentless. It's a calculated tool used to manipulate and control. This is the mother who makes sure that you know that you haven't called enough, visited enough, helped enough, or been grateful enough. You'll hear her say things like, "I've done so much for you. Is it so much to ask for you to make some time for me?" Or, "After everything I've sacrificed, you'd think I'd get a little more appreciation." And guilt isn't just reserved for the adult children. Narcissistic mothers are more than willing to use these tactics on young kids too. She's the mother who tells her children that they're too much, too needy, or too sensitive. You'll hear her say things like, "You're stressing me out," or "Why can't you just be easier?" or "Ugh, you're exhausting me." This tactic is designed to train you to believe that you are responsible for whatever hardship she feels, which means that over time you internalize that anytime she's unhappy, it's your fault. Children of narcissistic mothers unfortunately come to believe that their needs are burdens, creating a lifelong pattern of guilt and self-blame. For dealing with a narcissistic mother who's weaponizing guilt, use the guilt shield tool. When she says something like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me," respond with calm firmness. "I'm not responsible for how you choose to feel." This response sets a clear boundary, rejecting the guilt without engaging in an argument. It communicates that you won't take ownership of her emotions, making her manipulation ineffective. By staying steady, you hold your ground and keep the power in your hands. Have you ever felt like you were one day a trophy and then the next day a giant embarrassment? Our final clue is this: narcissistic mothers see their children as objects or extensions of themselves. They don't value their children as independent people, but rather for how well they enhance the mother's image or meet her needs. To a narcissistic mother, your worth is transactional. It's about what you can do for her. You'll notice this in conversations where she seems to compliment you, but the praise is really a self-indulgent flattery. She might say, "Oh, that outfit looks so great," but only if it's exactly what she told you to wear. Or she might say, I can't wait for Jane to meet your boyfriend, not because she's happy for you, but because she's happy for herself. She wants to show off your boyfriend to gain Jane's admiration. It's all about fueling her narcissistic supply. More attention, more admiration, and more of you to be used for her own gain. In my own experience, when I played piano at church, my mom was thrilled and beaming with pride, but not because she was proud of me, but because in her mind, my success was hers alone. But when it comes to what she deemed unworthy, the tone would shift. If I made a mistake or showed vulnerability, it was a different story. The subtle scripts might sound like, I raised you better than that, or why are you crying? Knock it off. I wasn't allowed to have a self. What she believed was good about me, my good grades, being thin, being pretty, having friends, or my musical talent, was hers to own, something she could claim as her own achievement. And what she deemed unworthy, like my skin breakouts or stage fright, or when I blushed when people talked to me, that was treated as something I should hide because it reflected poorly on her. For handling a narcissistic mother who sees your faults and successes as reflections of herself, use the "it's about me" tool. When she ties your actions to her identity, whether positively or negatively, respond with a single clear statement. This isn't about you, it's about me. This script works whether she's claiming your success as her own or framing your mistakes as her embarrassment. It's simple, direct, and shuts down the manipulation instantly by reminding her and yourself that your life is yours, not hers to co-opt. Thanks for watching, everybody. YouTube thinks that you might like this video on screen right now, so give it a shot. I'm sure it's informative and you'll learn important tools to spot narcissists and manipulation and set better boundaries. I'll see you over there. Bye.